simply cannot lose. You see, everything is okay. It's all right that you can see. Music at 51 years old, Stephen Gibb formally verified all the details that had captivated the public and fans for years. Internal disputes that had simmered inside the BG were finally revealed, as was his genuine relationship with Barry Gibb and his involvement in its legacy. At the height of Jesus's fame, in 1973, Stephen Gibb was born in London. Music as Barry Gibb began his international musical career, his family quickly relocated to Miami to settle down. Born into a legendary musical family, where his father and uncles were known for their economic success and cultural impact, Stephen Gibbs is the oldest of Barry and Linda Gibbs's 5 children. The traditional values of the Gibb family influenced Stephen from an early age. Family values and professional status were the most important factors in all he did. Up until adulthood, Barry Gibbs virtually kept his kids out of the entertainment industry and tightly regulated the media landscape around them. As a teenager, Stephen was off limits to the media, and any pictures of him were carefully chosen. Every family member was taught to be a link in the stability chain, rather than a means of garnering attention from the general public. Stephen was exposed to music in this setting while maintaining a very strict attitude. It was not an option to attend productions, listen to recording sessions, or learn from Barry, Robin, and Maurice's chats. It was inevitable. Alongside the general disciplines, music education formed an essential basis. However, such exposure also brought with it an innate pressure to meet a level that was on par with the prior generation. Growing up, Stephen lived in a house that was associated with global renown. However, there was no privilege associated with renown. The usage of the Gibb name for selfish purposes was discouraged by the Gibb family. The careful attitude Stephen had toward the public was an obvious reflection of the strictness with which Barry Gibb raised his children. His avoidance of the media and his private life, even as an adult, was a result of the family's punishment system rather than a conscious decision. However, there is no denying that Stephen was the only brother to have obvious musical talent right away. He had early live performance skills and a strong practical understanding of studio procedures. The Gibb family has a strict internal system in place for managing their income, reputation, and career. Each person had a distinct role to play, and Stephen was recognized as the main player in carrying on the next generation's musical tradition. This resulted in a number of stringent rules that carefully regulated all public conduct and made Stephen strike a compromise between his personal goals and his family's expectations. The events of Stephen's upbringing were not isolated. The split of roles within the family influenced his relationship with his siblings, particularly Ashley and Travis. The leader and creator of the Gibbs' subsequent musical image was Stephen. His siblings' decision to have a private life put him in the spotlight, creating a spiral of mounting pressure that persisted for years. In the middle of the 1990s, Stephen Gibb made his official debut in the music business as an independent performer, working on projects unrelated to the Bee Gees brand. This decision wasn't made by mistake, rather it was a part of a deliberate plan to create an own musical persona and avoid direct comparisons to his father and uncles. He first played in hard rock and heavy metal bands, usually 58, a project with Melly Crew's son Nicky Sixx, and then Black Label Society, a group that received great praise from critics for its methods of performance. Stephen's independent and distinct personal orientation was demonstrated by his decision to forge his own route in such a distinctive musical setting. Unlike the family's assumption that he would inherit the pop and disco legacy of the Bee directly, Stephen favored small-scale, limited-release live performance recordings during this time, steering clear of overt commercial promotion. Even when requested to work on significant family events, he declined to take part in media efforts related to the Gibb brand. However, upon Maurice Gibb's death in 2001 and the Bee Gees' subsequent reorganization, Barry Gibb started talking to his son about involving Stephen in legacy projects. Slowly, the father-son musical partnership began to take shape. Stephen played lead guitar and helped write songs for Barry's solo gigs starting in 2004, though initially on a small and experimental scale. Throughout Barry Gibb's 2010s tours, especially in Australia, the UK, and the US, Stephen remained involved. Additionally, he oversaw backstage production and offered technical assistance for several of Barry's special performances, such as the Glastonbury concert and Bee Gees' memorial concerts. Both parties maintained distinct structures during this time, but they also formally linked to certain family brand activities. When Stephen produced and performed on Greenfield's Songbook 1, a country project involving Dolly Parton, Jason Isbell, and Keith Urban, in 2020, it marked a significant turning point in his career. When it came to sound design, mixing and recording, Stephen was a crucial engineer. The album marked Stephen's first international engagement with the Gibb family and peaked at #1 in the UK, and was a great smash in the US. Since 1995, Stephen Gibb has not put out any solo music under his own name. This choice demonstrates his calculated strategy to steer clear of any visual conflicts with the legacy of the BG. In the workplace he remains independent, yet he is open to accepting technical duties on significant family projects. This keeps the two surveys, independent musicians and the newest Gibb music representatives, in balance. In 2025, Stephen Gibb is seen as the sole genuine connection between Barry Gibb and the Bee Gees' next generation, in addition to being a high-tech artist. This position allows him to openly discuss previously confidential topics, which makes it possible for previously unverified information about the Gibb family to be made public. The truth is concealed. In addition to his professional skills, Stephen Gibb's career in the family music system was characterized by a decades-long power structure and conservative beliefs. Every choice the Gibb family made about music, finances and public image was determined by international brand standards, leaving no space for variation or dispute. This setting put Stephen under systemic strain as soon as he started working closely with Barry Gibb. Family strife resulted from Stephen's musical preference, which stood in stark contrast to the pop, disco and ballads for which the Bee Gees had been renowned. His transition to more technical genres like metal and hard rock was perceived as being out of step with the brand's goals. Disparities in musical thought led to the cancellation of numerous partnerships. Due to a lack of internal approval, a number of the projects Stephen started as a producer were put on hold during pre-production. Technical disagreements between Stephen and Barry Gibb's management team regarding image placement, sound release strategy and mixing have been going on for a while without a clear resolution. In addition to being restricted to professional viewpoints, these disagreements also led to the breakdown of collaboration. According to data verified by the family management system, Stephen stopped doing anything with Barry for 3 different periods of time, each lasting roughly 6 months to a year. According to multiple insiders, the process of re-evaluating Stephen's place in the wider system of operations persisted between 2012 and 2020. The organizational format, position distribution and member obligations were all altered during this time, particularly once the Bee Gees started transitioning to legacy projects, including books, biopics, and compilation albums. Due to differences on the program's content and the speech's direction, Stephen once declined to take part in 2 significant events honoring the Bee Gees, one in London and one in Las Vegas. Along with his professional career, Stephen also had to deal with pressure from the public and media throughout the world, because his name was frequently included with his father's in articles, news reports, and financial reports on the Bee Gees' legacy. His every action was viewed through an uneven lens, due to the continual comparison of his accomplishments, impact, and creative vision. It became considerably more difficult to establish a distinct musical activity in this setting. According to verified information from management, Stephen had suggested leaving all creative endeavors in 2017 in order to transition into a teaching and recording engineering position. After internal meetings, he continued to serve as the music coordinator for several projects after this plan was rejected. However, being compelled to remain in the system without having complete autonomy hindered Stephen's capacity to grow as a person and formulate long-term plans. A major strategic turning point in this regard was Stephen Gibb's 2025 decision to speak up for the first time. He started making previously private topics public, such as internal tensions, systemic pressures, and the management mechanism of cultural heritage, after being released from the constraints of old media control rules. When Stephen Gibbs came out, the truth started to be re-established based on formal confirmation from insiders. Stephen Gibb initially appeared on an hour-long radio program in May 2025, which was hosted by a group of music producers that have collaborated with the Gibb family. The program concentrated on his connection with his father, Barry Gibb, and the elements that are thought to have significantly impacted his choices about the Bee Gees' legacy as well as his personal and professional paths. For the first time, a member of the family's second generation directly verified information that had been kept under wraps for a long period. According to the official recording, Stephen Gibb acknowledged that he and Barry Gibb had frequently disagreed about the musical direction. Concerning compositional opinions, the distribution of responsibilities in significant projects, and the choice to participate or not in performances that represent the BG brand, the disputes were characterized as profound in nature. He made it apparent that the inability to agree on musical strategy and the placement of each person's part in the system in the same talk occasionally caused the father-son connection to break down altogether. Stephen made it clear that he had discussed reorganizing his personal role in private discussions with Barry Gibb's management team. He acknowledged that he had once suggested leaving BG entirely to concentrate on his own independent music endeavors. Due to worries about the detrimental effect on the brand's reputation, particularly in light of the Bee Gees' behind-the-scenes biography project preparations, this request was turned down. Additionally, Stephen acknowledged that his exclusion from the official production team of the film in development was a direct result of unresolved conflicts with the top management team, rather than a lack of expertise. The degree of control the system has on the jobs of its successors is evident in this, which he viewed as a setback to the internal integration strategy. He said that the brand's longevity would be impacted by the growing generational divide if the old management system remained unchanged. Additionally, Stephen said that 3 musical endeavors he started between 2012 and 2018 were put on hold because of internal conflicts. These efforts comprised a limited European tour that reconstructed old recordings into contemporary instrumental frameworks, a concept rock CD, and a series of movies remixing Bee Gees' music in a new way. Despite having a lot of commercial potential, the aforementioned projects were all shelved because of content control regulations and issues over creative rights. Stephen further clarified that despite his numerous technical duties, he had never had complete control over any musical productions that used the Bee Gees trademark. Every personal initiative had to pass a multi-level approval process. He was never allowed to speak in public, and he was never directly involved in contract negotiations. As a result, in projects involving the commercialization of the heritage, he was acknowledged as a senior technician without co-authorship rights. The fact that Stephen has been formally participating in internal consultations on the BG biography since February 2025 is another noteworthy step. He claims to have contributed original audio data, offered previously unavailable behind-the-scenes footage, and assisted in creating the music for the early BG pieces, despite the fact that he is not given official credit in the media. A strategic change in the family structure is shown by the fact that this was done following a period of reconciliation with Barry Gibb and the production crew. Stephen also attested to a shift in the family's media-related behavior. He will be permitted to establish a team for managing personal information, operate a separate distribution channel, and communicate to the media within a predetermined parameters starting in 2025. For the first time since 2000, a second-generation Gibb family member has been given permission to put up a personal media system with little oversight. This is interpreted as a sign that the family has agreed to broaden its control systems in order to adjust to the changing environment. Observers saw his public revelation following over 30 years of silence as a significant change in the family's internal reorganization process. With this confirmation, Stephen has formally transitioned from a member with little media influence to a strategic player who can influence the new Gibb legacy and lineage. Stephen Gibb's position within the family system has undergone a strategic restructuring since he made the inside knowledge public in May 2025. He is now regarded as a crucial component in organizing and running the Bee Gees' legacy plans in a manner that is appropriate for the contemporary environment, rather than just a technical support artist or a supporting cast member on famous projects. A notable change in the division of responsibilities among generations is shown in Stephen's choice to assume creative control starting in the second quarter of 2025. He has been invited to join the Independent Music Content Advisory Board, which will grant him access to the family's archives and complete authority over the original soundtrack for the post-production of the movie, as confirmed by the executive team of Paramount's Bee Gees biopic project. For the first time, a member of the second generation has had a high-level professional role that directly affects the brand's merchandise. In addition to his consultancy work, Steven established his own technical unit, where he offers mixing services, preserves musical materials, and helps up-and-coming musicians learn the harmonizing style of the original BG. The Gibb Family Foundation provides financial support for this unit's independent operations, separate from the official production machinery of Barry Gibbs. This action is seen as the initial phase of progressively passing on media management and artistic rights to the following generation. In terms of personal growth, Steven has started developing a number of online music courses that will concentrate on a thorough examination of the Bee Gees' most significant recordings between 1967 and 1989. With seasoned producers who have previously collaborated with the Gibb family, the show will be made available on its own digital platform. Replicating the mixing procedure, studio methods, and tactical components that established the Bee Gees as a global music brand is the aim. This is regarded as the first effort to present the family's musical heritage in an instructional setting as opposed to merely a for-profit item. In addition to adding additional significance to the family tradition, these efforts enhanced Steven's reputation as a competent music specialist who could run the system. Projects under Steven's direction have a high rate of original resource usage, archive and digitization efficiency that surpasses industry standards, and steady traffic growth in the first quarter after release, according to a report from the independent monitoring group of the International Music Copyright Management Organization (BMIDO). This demonstrates that the professional world clearly recognizes his technological merit and content management approach. Regarding family policy, Steven now has some authority over some aspects of image approval, music management, and media monitoring, according to recent changes mentioned in the internal governance update for 2025. Alongside these adjustments is a detailed plan for the following generation to ensure stability and continuity in upholding the BG brand globally. With this structural shift, a founding team member of the BG is acknowledged in the fundamental governance system for the first time in over 40 years. World institutions have recognized Steven Gibbs' 2025 image as a valid representation of the BG family's new generation in world affairs. In the US and the UK at several specialized music conferences, he was asked to speak and shared his expertise in managing cross-generational brand positioning, creating music products based on history, and document preservation. This illustrates how he changed his perspective of his position from that of a technical artist to that of an experienced and useful arts manager. Please like and share the video to help spread correct information if you think this information is helpful and would want to follow the Gibb family's adventure during the generational changeover. Leave a comment to share your thoughts and subscribe to the channel to ensure you don't miss the upcoming updates. I appreciate you staying until the very end.